Look close. No, closer. As Motorhead Garage delves into its archives to visit past projects and people. All of this and more next.
Welcome to Motorhead Garage, presented by Top Coat. We've got a lot of stuff to do on the show today, so we better get to work.
You know, a lot of people ask us when it comes to F11, how does this product actually work? And that's what we're going to do a segment here today. There's many ways we could have formulated this product, if you will, to do certain things. You know, is it protection? Is it all protection? Is it just shine? You know, what is it exactly? What are the key features and benefits that you're really trying to achieve in this coating? As an example, Mike, you know, with the cross sections and how this builds and how it layers, I mean, that's one extreme detail.
Right, the technology in F11 kind of changed the industry, because if you zoom into a surface with an electron microscope, you know, we find all these imperfections that like the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, literally, right.
Yeah, and dirt and grime builds up and grabs onto that. So F11 was formulated where at a microscopic level it could fill that in, where the dirt couldn't adhere and stick, and you could easily wipe it away.
That's right.
So it changed everything.
Right, literally changed everything. And so now that dirt and so forth isn't in those pores, isn't in that microscopic perspective, it's above it, it's sitting on the surface now. So every time you use F11, you're only enhancing that surface, thus adding more layers, if you will, correct?
Right, it builds up sacrificial layers. They wear down over time, but you build them back up and up every time you use it.
Right,
so
so
it's
it's not
incredible.
degrading the paint, you're not hurting the paint, you're just only putting that beautiful barrier on for all environmental factors to basically sit on top.
Right, and not just the paint, but the plastic, the glass, the rubber, any surface you could think of, it works on.
Right, so you know, at the end of the day, we engineered this product to do a lot of things great. Pretty much everything great, not just one thing good. So if you want to learn more, you can always go to topcoat.tv.
Now, in the past, it was really difficult to find parts for like our 70s Chevelle back here. The car is gorgeous. Also, they were very expensive, but now that Rock Auto's online, we're reaching a whole worldwide audience of old cars, so that makes them very more accessible. And that's awesome when you're using Rock Auto. And I'll show you the years. They're right on the computer. You can go to rockauto.com. This is the screen that pops up. I'm just going to scroll down. Everybody's familiar with a good old Chevrolet. And you scroll down the years from 2019, 85, still going, 53, all the way down to a 1915 Chevrolet. So they have all of it covered. Now, with the worldwide reach, it also helps the manufacturers start making some parts for the older cars, and we can look at the few of them as well. So if we look at some of the parts for some of the older cars, this is pretty cool because I'm clicking on the first one here, and this is bringing up sun visors, old school sun visors, man, in all different colors. That's just one thing. I mean, we can keep going along here, and we'll go to the AC compressor. Looks real familiar. The old AC compressor there with the top stroke on it shows you the belts, how to actually route the belts, the number of belts and everything going on. And they even have doors. The doors on here, check it out, man. We're talking about a 1965 Mustang on here, different bodies, doors, and door panels, which is amazing. Now you saw all the parts. Also remember, they have wholesale closeout on some of these old parts as well. So if I click on the wholesale closeouts, pretty neat, talking about an older car, you can see the price of these. The wholesale closeout on this one, it's a good filter. It's a Wix filter. It's $2.13, and that's on a Monte Carlo. Pretty neat stuff. Last but not least, well, you remember when brake pads for a 90 Dodge was about 20 bucks? Well, that's not the case anymore. You can go to rockauto.com. I'm going to pull up some brake pads here. Look at a 1995 Neon. Man, this is amazing. Brake pads from anywhere from 77 cents all the way up to $4. We're talking about Raybestos and great brands. So if you got an old car, rockauto.com is the place to go.
Do not touch that dial or remote or smartphone. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by Top Coat right after this.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Top Coat, is brought to you by AP Laser, leading the way. Clamp Tight, the clamp making tool. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. Silver Sport Transmission, overdrive transmission kits everyone loves, delivered with pride. And by Top Coat, make life easier.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Top Coat. Time to go back into the archives, visit with our old friend Brian Lone, see what he's up to.
I am here inside the shop, but even more specifically than that, inside a Mobile Environmental Solutions paint booth, joined by this, an absolutely magnificent big block 4-speed Corvette. We'll talk more about that in a second. But Tom, tell me about what makes the Mobile Environmental Solutions paint booth so effective, and what am I standing in?
This is our 23x15. It's made here in the United States. The best part about it is when you're not using it, you roll it up and put it in a corner. Only takes a few minutes to set it back up. Then you have a fully functional paint booth. This one right here has approximately 37 air changes an hour.
So this is not just a, it's not just a structure. I can feel the circulation happening right now. Now, this is also a paint booth that is good for doing small pieces. You can do doors. We've seen fenders done in here. But the reality is, you did this entire Corvette in one of these booths.
Yeah, I painted the whole car in it, in pieces, like, you know, the body on a dolly, doors on a stand, but yeah, the whole car in here.
And this is no slack job kind of work here. This is an NCRS quality level restoration. Kind of tell me what you enjoyed about working in the booth.
Well, what I like about it best is, like, I'm a small garage, you know, I'm a home hobbyist, restorer. I only have 1,000 square foot, so for like me, I roll it out, blow it up, put the car in there, use it. When I'm done, I put it down, put it back in my garage, and it saves space. And it works, you know.
And you're overly humble because you're very, very good at what you do. And, you know, you're a guy that's got certifications by the major paint manufacturers.
Yeah.
So you understand what needs to happen inside one of these booths, and clearly it works the right way.
Yeah, I've worked for a lot of dealerships and restoration shops, and this booth puts out just as better just than anything else. It works great.
Tom, is there any better testimonial than that? Or
I think the proof is in the pudding on this one. I mean, this is a gorgeous car that was painted in a bounce house.
That's what my neighbors call it, the bounce house, yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about the car, because it's a very rare Corvette, meaning we got the engine combination in the driveline, but specifically inside.
Yeah, this car belongs to a really good friend of mine, Rob Harper in Apex, North Carolina. It's a radial delete, heat delete car with 411 gears and a 427 4.25 horse numbers matching, all numbers matching car.
Unbelievable. And it's a car that is capable of being judged on a national level, that 100-point scale that everyone's so afraid of. What does it say to you when you hear testimonials like this from a guy that's doing this level of work in the booth?
It takes a lot of pride. It just shows that the amount of work that goes into design of these booths. It isn't just sewing it. We have checked the airflow. We've upped the game as far as having a true cross-flow style booth. And it opens up a lot of opportunities for people that can't afford a permanent booth or don't have the space for a permanent booth, or people that work, you know, from their backyard or from lot to lot. So there's a lot of different applications.
And there are some safety features built in here as well. You have emergency exits on the side. There's also the ability for filtration too, right?
To swap the filtration out, the vinyl's all fire-treated, fire-retardant vinyl. It does exceed the OSHA's airflow capture efficiency as far as air exchange rate. So there's been a lot of tests and R&D been done in these booths. And
one last question, size-wise, you said this is one of the larger offerings. What do you offer for sizes?
This is our 23x15. We build them as small as a 10x10 and as big as a 50-plus, you know, 19x20 if you need it for semis, Apache helicopters. The military use them for different specs like that.
You know, Tom, we talk about stuff, we see the vents up here, and I can actually feel really significant airflow through here.
And you got 12 in this booth, and that's your inlet filters. So it's giving you a true clean room environment. It's moving a ton of air, and it's cleaning the air as it comes through and fills up the booth because it's positive pressure. It's going to fill up the booth like a balloon and exhaust through the path of least resistance, which is going to be the exhaust filters on the opposite side of the booth.
Different paints have different needs, and you know, I'm sure that waterborne paints like a booth like this.
Water would work really great in here. Even my PPG rep said this is the place for water. Because of the air circulation, water's not about heat, it's about airflow. So yeah, and I'm going to spray water in it soon.
Where do people learn more about these on the web?
MobileEnvironmentalSolutions.com.
Time now for the lowdown with Magic Creeper.
Well, I had a rattly exhaust system. It turns out it was just a hanger, so I was able to tighten that up. But as you can see, our lift was full, so I got under here using the Magic Creeper. Piece of cake.
Yeah, what makes the Magic Creeper so great? Well, think about it. There's no wheels on it. Actually just slides on itself. Zero ground clearance. No wheels equals no weight limit. I'm not picking on you, Dave, but hey, that's awesome. You can use it for anything. Any weight limit doesn't make a difference. And wheels, pound for pound, on painted floors are doing damage with those creepers. Not the case here. Also, when you're rolling under your clothes, your hair, I mean, stuff's getting caught in the creeper. They're not easy to use, man. This thing is very easy to use.
And it's super simple to use out on the road. You carry it in the back of your car. Really easy to roll up, stuff's under your back seat. You wouldn't be able to take a regular mechanic's creeper with you on the road, and why would you want to?
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking about fleets, police cars, RVs, military. I mean, you know, you're stopping on the side of the road, you're breaking down. Maybe it's a simple exhaust rattle, maybe it's a leak, whatever. You got a spare tire in your car, you might as well put a Magic Creeper in there as well. I mean, what a versatile tool to use, especially if you're broken down or just to get under there and look and see what's going on. Any surface doesn't make any difference.
You can also use it as a kneeling pad when you're working on something like your bumper or your headlights or something you don't really need to get under the vehicle. You can actually just use the Magic Creeper for that.
I took one to a football game, folded it up, had me a seat right in the stadium, man, incredible. You got the cushion, durable as all get out. You can't tear it, you can't rip it, it's super, super durable, and also oil resistant. Just wipe it off, clean it, roll it back up, it's good to go.
Does beer wipe off after a football game?
No, I wouldn't know that, but oil sure enough does.
All right, piece of cake. There are a lot of imitators out there, so make sure you go check it out on the web. Go to magiccreeper.com so you can get the real thing. We've got more Motorhead Garage presented by Top Coat coming up right after this.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Top Coat, coming to you from Borla Commerce Park.
Now, to check the mechanical integrity of your engine, a fast and easy and efficient way to do it is a compression reading, man. This is the way to go. And it's really simple to do. Just warm your temperature up to operating temperature. Then we went ahead and disabled the primary side of the ignition system. Another thing you need to do is go ahead and block your throttle wide open so you know you don't have any restrictions of air going into the system. Also, if you have drive-by-wire, be careful with that. Read your service manual. You don't want to go messing with the throttle when you're doing that stuff. So then it's simply just take all the spark plugs out. I got them all loose here and one off, so I'm going to go ahead and pull one out. Good time to look at it and read your spark plug while you got it out of there. Take the compression gauge installer, put it in there. Really simple to do. Screw it in there into the cylinder you're going to check, and then I'm going to come back and clip on the actual compression gauge. Once I got the compression gauge secure in there, I can go ahead. We have an assistant inside the car. We're going to crank it over with 4 puffs, 4 compression cycles. So if you could give me 4 puffs, that would be great. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. We got a $1.50. That's good compression. Now, if we didn't have compression, we'd have to go and diagnose it. But this is a good way to check the mechanical integrity of your engine. Well, let's take a look back in the archives.
This week in the shop, we have a 1929 Pontiac Street Rod. This car is really cool. We're joined by Danny from Steel Rubber Products. What we're going to be talking about today is the drivability and enjoyability of your street rod in any old car, and increasing that by using their products in terms of sealing, windows, doors, that kind of stuff. We're talking weather stripping, and what this means is when you're going down the road, you want to have good sealing doors and windows so you don't have the whistling of the wind going through the car, or if you're out there in a rainstorm, you don't want to be having to bail the floorboards out when you're driving down the highway. Steel Rubber offers a full catalog of products for this 1929 Pontiac if you're going to restore it. But Danny, this is a street rod. We're not doing a restoration here, and you guys can handle those needs too.
That's right. We do have parts that are direct fit replacements for this car and older, you know, all the GMs, Mopars, Fords, and if you're doing a restoration, there's sometimes you need a direct fitment replacement. Like for this lower windshield seal for the crank up windshield, we got a direct seal for that and it works out great. Though there's some things, you know, we can have universal or street rod type part that'll work great for you.
Yeah, for instance, you know, this car hasn't been sectioned at all, so the cowl is the stock size and width. We're actually going to talk about doing some pieces on that cowl. If you wanted to use a stock style cloth, you could do that. Or if you wanted to go more modern for a cleaner look, you can use this rubber. If the car happened to have been modified, I understand you guys can even make custom parts to change, say, someone that's chopped the top.
That's right. We do actually make some custom chopped top windshields. We have the molds to do it. We just change the length of the weather stripping and we can make it direct fit for your glass. We can put a seal on something that maybe never had a seal to begin with, so we can do anything to help keep that vehicle tight.
Talk to me about what we got going on here with our cowl that we're actually going to be placing this piece on for our hood, right?
So this cowl originally came with something like this. It was cloth, it was stapled onto the body, and if you're wanting to do an original type restoration, it's perfect, we have that. And if you're wanting to do something maybe a little more clean or modern, we have this rubber seal here, which has a very similar style to it that works really nicely as well.
Talk me through laying it on.
So first thing we want to do is clean it up with just a little alcohol wipe. These come with the peel and stick anytime you buy it. Just a quick wipe to make sure everything is clean. There's no bad residue or anything. And this 3M adhesive is really great. It's a heat-applied tape, and it works really well.
And yeah, if you had a car that had been modified, and we talked a little bit about this before, John is actually going to show us in a minute here how you offer a cool system to kind of get those modified cars to figure out what pieces and parts you need to get the fitment right.
That's right.
Now, if you notice here, there's a space for the hood hinge and the cowl. If we were going to put the full hood on here, we'd obviously make a cut. This owner of this car is not going to run the hood, and so that means we can leave it uncut for a nice clean finish. John's going to show us how you can measure for the perfect fit for your custom applications.
Well, we made it over to the door, and you and Brian did great work on the front, but all that's been in the steel rubber product catalog there. This is not the case. This door here, no stripping at all from the factory. I mean, you can see it here. It didn't even have it. What is the solution for that, Danny?
So if we don't have an OE replacement for it, we have to figure out the gap size, and we recommend the putty test.
All right, can you teach me the putty test so we can show everybody how to use it?
Yeah, so we have a little piece of putty here, wrapped in saran wrap, just so we don't make a mess.
Okay.
And then we're going to close it in the door jamb.
Nice. Wow, look at that. Looks just like a piece of trim. Now what do we do?
And then we'll take a measurement of that depth. So it's about 3/8.
And you guys have a universal trim that'll fit that?
Yes, we have several sizes on our universal catalog. This one in particular fits anything from 3/8 up to 9/16. So, and it has a lot of squish to it, so I think it'll work perfect.
Well, Danny, you guys got a bunch of other products. What do you have, and where are we going to find you on the website?
So we have all the products you'll need for your door weather stripping, your hood, all the bumpers and grommets, and that's all on www.steelrubber.com.
Good stuff from Brian Loans. We'll see you right after the break. More Motorhead Garage presented by Top Coat coming right up.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Top Coat, is brought to you by Stage 8 Fasteners, home of the world's best locking header bolt. Locking kits now available for all turbo applications. Go to stage8.com. Exalta Coating Systems, we paint winners. Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science. And by Danmar Equipment. Now you see it, now you don't.
Incredible things always happen here at Motorhead Garage, brought to you by Top Coat. Let's take a look back.
You know, whether we're talking about a 6-second blown alcohol-powered dragster or the industrial world that we live in, there are some hidden parts and mechanical heroes that actually keep the world moving, whether we're talking about going 200 miles an hour or even kind of causing the great animatronic figures in theme parks to work. Bob Douglas, rod ends are what keeps the world on the go.
Yes, they do. Rod ends are used just about everywhere.
And rod end supplies just about everywhere. We're going to talk about the dragster in a minute, but show me and talk to me about some of the examples we have on the table of your breadth and depth of your product line.
Well, we make anything from extremely large, 1-inch hole, 1.25-inch thread, chromoly steel, got the red injection nylon fiber race, doesn't beat out, doesn't get loose like a Teflon liner. We make a part for Disney for their animatronics.
That's incredible.
Which that's got a 440 hole in the ball and a 540 thread, so it's fairly small.
And material-wise, we're talking everything from nice steel products, aluminum, and stainless.
And stainless. We do that. We do a lot of connector links, especially in the drag industry, where they have to want a right-hand and a left-hand thread in between a rod end and a connecting link, and that way they can lengthen it and shorten it, that type of thing. We make a lot of products for the shock industry. Okay. The ends, the bearings that go into the shocks. We do 4-bar ends of various sizes for street rods, off-road Jeeps, this type of thing. Clevises, of course, are used in many, many areas. We do a lot of studs for rod ends as well. Instead of putting a bolt through it, we can put a stud in it. Some of the studs are even tapered,
yeah,
that you don't have to drill out your spindles.
That's fantastic. You know, because of your experience and the fact that you've been around these basically your entire life, what are some of the tips you'd give somebody who's needing to shop for rod ends for their particular application?
Well, there are certain items that I personally wouldn't use. I wouldn't use an economy type of rod end on anything that races on asphalt or concrete or that type of thing. I definitely use chromoly steel. But you need to use a size in relationship to what the part is doing. Okay, most of your suspension parts are going to be larger. They're going to be 1/2 inch, probably the smallest, all the way up through maybe a 1.25 inch type rod end. Yeah, you don't want to put a rod end in a place where you've been using a 3/4. You don't want to try to use a 1/2 inch or something any smaller than that because it probably won't hold up.
Speaking of suspension, this dragster we have in front of us has a 4-link rear end. We're going to go check that out and find out how rod ends help this thing get down the drag strip. You know, Bob, we've had a chance to look the dragster over. Actually, you've looked at it, I've drooled on it. But tell me, as you've looked this thing over, what have you seen as far as rod end applications kind of from the nose to where we are?
Oh gosh, up in the front we've got rod ends all over the place. You've got smaller rod ends that's used in the steering. Moving forward up into the cockpit, we've got on the brake, the chute release. Moving back, we've got the smaller ones on the injectors to open and then in the back end, here we've got a 4-link suspension that's got rod ends all over it.
Kind of the business end of the car and really the end of the car that takes the brunt of the abuse. So I'm guessing this is one of the areas where a racer or anybody that has any sort of racing vehicle needs to be on top of things when it comes to the rod ends.
You know, one of the problems is once the rod end starts loosening up and the ball gets loose in the housing, then the rear end wants to start walking, and then it's very difficult to make the car track the way it should going down the strip.
We've gone ahead and removed the top bar out of the 4-link on this side. You can actually see the equivalent bar on that side of the car right there. So you have a replacement. So what do you recommend as far as this application?
Well, definitely you want to use chromoly steel in these applications because this is a very high stress area. One of the things that we like is our nylon fiber injection molded race rod end. It doesn't beat out like a Teflon liner normally does. Teflon liners go pretty quick. Ours, we've had them on cars that's lasted for a year and doesn't beat out. And then you can assemble them back up, make sure you use plenty of never sees in the thread so you can adjust if you need to.
And the fact that when we get this thing right, obviously for us to keep the rear end of the car square for the owner, we want to make sure we're the exact same length it was, one when it came out, and two that it matches the other side.
Absolutely. Also too, everybody might notice all the different holes in the chassis, and what this is for adjustment, because if you got one side that might be hooking up a little better than the other, so you'll move a bar or two and make that one wheel hook up just as well as the other one. That way you're still staying straight down the strip.
Well, we had a great time today, and we hope you did too. Thanks for tuning in. If you've got a product you'd like to see on Motorhead Garage, be sure to email Jeff at masterstv.com. Thanks for tuning in to Motorhead Garage, presented by Top Coat. We'll see you next time.